Back to the grind with the only free MMA channel that fucking matters, full-time MMA. And Chris Weidman's appeal. Alright, let me see if I can do this. Chris Weidman loses his New York State Athletic Commission appeal after controversial stoppage at UFC 210. It was controversial. Not to me, but I mean, it was only controversial because they made it controversial. It really wasn't that controversial. Yeah, but you guys know where I'm coming from. I'm one of Gegard Mousasi's biggest fans. I'm probably not one of his biggest fans. There's definitely bigger fans than me, but I am a motherfucking huge fan of Gegard Mousasi. You don't understand. The only reason I'm bringing this up is to bring up Gegard. There's 3 days left until Gegard's contract is up. 3 days left until that's I will probably go ape shit the day I find out the UFC let Gegard Mousasi go. I will. I don't know when I'm gonna talk about this fucking shitty little Chris Weidman appeal. Probably be somewhere in this video. But we've got to talk about Gegard. Yes, we do. Somebody on my last Gegard video said, I mean, I understand you're a Gegard, and I know this was a hitter. I know you're my boy. I'm only saying this because that's how I'm saying it. You're still my boy. It's all love. I understand where you're coming from. But bitch, hear me out. I understand what you're saying, but the UFC can't pay every single fighter $1 billion. They can't pay every fighter that wants more money. The UFC doesn't even make money off of the fight nights. I mean, who says they profit off of every fight night? And some of their pay-per-views don't make money, and they depend on their biggest pay-per-views to support all of your other events. Bitch, I swear to God, if you don't shut the fuck up right now, no, that don't work with me. Like I said, I understand what you're saying, but you're gonna have to run that shit to somebody else. Not me. Not me. No. Sorry. And maybe I am biased, because Gegard's my favorite fighter. But the reason what I say is gonna matter because I understand your side. I see what you're saying. I'm just about to shit on it, bruh. That's all that's gonna happen here. Because I had to do a fucking, English Comp 2, dude. I ain't a super college head or nothing, nigga. I didn't even get a degree. I'm like five credit hours away from my 2-year degree, so I ain't graduated shit. I'm a college dropout at this point. But I did do all the hard classes already. I got some shitty class to do, and I'll be done. I just gotta pay them back. I did do English Comp 2, calculus, all that stupid shit. I figured all that shit, got all that shit done. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about, I had to write a 10-page paper for my English Comp 2 final that was a persuasive essay on why college, or just a persuasive essay. So you just had to persuade your opinion on something. My persuasive essay, and I'm only bringing this up because I ended up getting a 96% on the paper, and the teacher chose my paper. There's 40 kids in the class, and she chose my paper and one other paper to read to the class because he said he went into it feeling one way. He was against what I was saying, and I converted him. And this was my paper. I'm not going to get into the whole fucking paper clearly, but it was on why NCAA football and basketball athletes should be paid. And guess what? We ran into the same argument. Well, they use the money from football and basketball to pay for water polo and tennis and fucking little league soccer, college soccer, like just every single fucking college sport that doesn't make money. As you say, the fight nights and the week pay-per-views and all that shit. And hold on, don't even give me that shit when they're doing these Fight Pass fights. Hold on, we ain't even got into Fight Pass. You just sound like a little fucking Dana White fanboy that's always on that side. You don't consider shit. But let me tell you why. I'm not going to go too far into that paper. I'll just say I did the knowledge on that type of shit, and that's not how it plays out, buddy. It's not how it plays out. What are you saying? Are you saying that Gegard Mousasi should not be paid what he's worth, so the UFC can pay these other fighters? Oh, I can go so far into this. Bro, the UFC just sold for $4.2 billion. Do you think they would have bought the company for that much money if they were taking losses on even 50% of their events? Because, and like I said in the comment, no, I can't fucking argue with the numbers. But neither can you. No, I don't have the fucking numbers to say the UFC profits on every event. I don't have the numbers, even though I believe that. The only event I could even think of that the UFC didn't profit on in recent memory was maybe the fucking GDR pay-per-view, Holly Holm. Or maybe a pay-per-view where the main event fell out and they had to refund fighters like UFC 206, Max Holloway, Andy Pettis. Maybe. But even the fight nights, you're wrong. Bro, they have a deal with Fox Sports 1. They make money from those ads on the fight night cards, which probably pay for the whole fight night itself, not counting the gate from the people that show up to the event to watch it and buy beers and shit at the arena, not counting the Reebok money, not counting any other fucking deals. Just the Fox Sports contract most likely pays for the fight night card itself. And guess what? The fighters, to what I've understood from shows like the MMA Hour, don't get 0% of the Fox deal. Let's go to NBA or NFL. 50%. And I know it's not the same. Someone said they're not the same. Fighters are more at risk for CTE, which would be more on the fighter side. If fighters are more at risk for CTE, then they should get a higher percentage. And I do think NFL players have a higher risk of CTE than fighters, but NBA players have the lowest risk. So why would an NBA player get 50%? They've got literally the lowest risk of all three to get CTE. They still get 50%. You know why? Because David Stern and Mark Cuban ain't out there motherfucking balling. They ain't out there. What are you talking about? Yeah, they're smart. They're businessmen. They're doing what they do. But without LeBron James, Steph Curry, the NBA ain't no one gonna fucking tune in. How many fucking promotions are there? Fight promotions. How many are there that you don't even know? There's local ones, regional ones. There's so many fight promotions you don't even know of. Like when they did that Demetrius Johnson Tough and they got fighters champions from all these different organizations. You didn't know any of those organizations, but they all exist. You know why you don't know who they are? Because John Jones doesn't fight for the UFC or UFR. Daniel Cormier doesn't fight for the LFARTLL. You see what I'm saying? That's why you don't give a fuck about the Colorado FCFF. You don't give a fuck about none of that because that's not where John Jones is. That's not where Conor McGregor is. That's not where Ronda Rousey is. That's not where Tyron Woodley is. That's not where Daniel Cormier is. That's not where Stipe Miocic is. That's not where Joanna Jędrzejczyk is. That's not where none of the fuck Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz. No. The UFC is the UFC because they have the best fighters in the world. You hear that? They have the best fighters in the world. That's why. The best what? Fighters. If the UFC and Bellator switched rosters tomorrow, who would be worth more money? Not the UFC. If the UFC and Bellator, better yet, if the UFC and LFA switched rosters, and the UFC's biggest star was Colby Northcutt, and the LFA had John Jones, Stipe Miocic, Alistair Overeem, Mark Hunt, Daniel Cormier, Alexander Gustafsson, Rumble Johnson, fucking Michael Bisping, Yoel Romero, Robert Whittaker, Jacare Rosa. Do I have to keep going down every weight class? Tyron Woodley, Damian Maia, George St. Pierre, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz, Tyron, I already said that, Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee, Michael Chiesa, do I gotta keep going? Max Holloway, Jose Aldo, do I gotta keep going? Do I? Really? We can go to flyweights, but they don't really give a fuck about them. But I ain't gonna keep going. You get the fucking point. If LFA had all of them, would you start watching the UFC tomorrow or LFA? Would you buy a UFC pay-per-view if none of their fighters were on it except for Colby Northcutt and a bunch of people you don't fucking know? Let's say the UFC took 5 of their new signees and put them on a pay-per-view. Would you buy it? No, you're only going to buy that fucking pay-per-view if the star fighters are there. And the UFC has the star fighters. So now, I done went into it enough. You see what the fuck I'm saying. The UFC fighters are more at risk for injury, bodily injury. They train harder. They train longer. I don't know if that's true, but in my imagination, you have to train jiu-jitsu, wrestling, striking, which you're getting clipped up in practice. Then you have to spar, which is getting clipped up on clipped up. When you're wrestling practice, your body is getting slammed on the motherfucking ground. When you're shooting hoops practice, bro, you're shooting hoops. And they ain't even fouling hard. Because they gotta save you for the real shit. UFC fighters have to get pulled out of fucking pay-per-views because they get injured. And they don't get paid for that. They don't get to take it easy in practice because they're the star. No. And they're paying for their own goddamn practice. I could go on this, bro. This is something I could go on. But I'm not going to do that because I don't got nothing. I understand business. I see what the UFC is. And in my opinion, the only way any of this is really going to change is a motherfucking union. But that's where, I don't know how long that is away. And I'm not going to sit here and fucking, what the fuck? Who am I to get on here and preach about a damn union? I don't know anything about that. All I know is the NBA fighters and the NFL players have a union, and they're getting 50% of a lot of shit. And I think, in my opinion, I don't watch the NBA and the NFL anymore. All I watch is MMA. To me, MMA is better than all of that shit. It's worth more than all of that. I used to be an NBA and NFL big fan. But guess what? I'm not anymore. I'm a casual fan of that. I'm a hardcore fucking MMA fan. So to me, MMA fighters are worth more money than those guys. And if you look at the pay scale, it's not even a sliver of close. And I understand that they're more established. They've been around longer. They bring in more money. They're bigger. So I'm not saying that they're worth more in dollar amounts. I'm talking about percentage-wise. I'm saying if NBA players get 50% of the TV revenue, UFC fighters should get 51%. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. To me, and I'm also saying that that's my opinion. So, like you said, I don't know the backstory, how much the UFC makes. I don't know that they profit on every event. They probably don't profit on every event, but they profit on a lot. And on some of them, they probably make hand over fist money. I don't know. That Reebok deal seems pretty sweet. To me, whenever I very first heard of the Reebok deal, when it very first came around, I was just thinking, damn, it's like the UFC got all the fighters sponsors. It's like Reebok just cut the UFC a check, and they you know, that was just from outside looking in from super far out. Now I know more about it, and I heard Joe Lozon's cringy ass interview talking about how hard it was to get sponsors and the taxes, but people, journalists and other people come out and they say the UFC, please. I don't know, man. There's just something about it to me that's way too cringy. I understand the business side. If I was the UFC, I would be doing the exact same shit. I would. If you're a businessman, why would you offer more money to your, I think I've used this example before. Why would Ronald McDonald offer to fucking give every single employee a raise? That's just going to make him worth less. That's going to make his business fucker, Do you think Ronald McDonald couldn't afford to pay more than 50 cents more than minimum wage? He don't do it, though. I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I shouldn't even use that example because fighters are worth more than them fucking burger flippers. You can go get new burger flippers and train them overnight. You can't train a new fighter overnight. So fighters are worth more than that. So that's not even a good example. But the only way it's a good reason I use that example is because why would an employer just start giving out or give away money? Who gives away money for free? Good people, like, I guess. Like, oh, you know, you'll get that good boss that gives you a fucking Christmas bonus you weren't expecting. But other than that, there's not many people that just hand out money. I know my boss isn't going to give me no fucking extra shit. You know, because it's like a corporation type shit now. Like, there's not just one boss. It's not a family business that's just giving out businesses. And you know what? Now that I say that, think about it. The UFC used to be like a family type business where, okay, yeah, happy Christmas. Here, Merry Christmas. Here, happy holidays. Here's a little discretionary bonus. But now that they're a corporation, you ain't going to be getting Christmas bonuses and that little shit. Because at mom and pop, that's where the only place I can think of that really gives little bonuses like that. Anyways, I done went too far on this video too, man. I digress. I'll be interested to see what happens in the comments on this video. I'm sure there'll be people that disagree, people that agree. But hey, I'm standing firm for now. Somebody might say something, and if you came at me with the facts, like, hey, actually the UFC loses money on 50%. They just make so much money on the counter fight. You know, it's worth it. I don't think that's the case. But if you got the fucking facts, I'm not opposed to being wrong. I'm not opposed to being wrong. That's where my opinion is at this point. Opinions change, bruh. I ain't that fucking douchebag that's just gonna argue to be right to be right. If you got the facts, you got the facts. But don't just tell me, oh, you're wrong because the UFC might have to be losing money. Bitch, if you ain't got the facts, don't tell me I ain't got the facts. What the fuck you time at? I don't know what else to say, man. Fuck it. It is what it is. What the fuck you time at? What the fuck? Another 16-minute video. Pumping out the content, boy! I might do one more video. I might do one more video before I get to work. Dude, before I get to sleep and shit. What the fuck you time at? Dude, I'm out. P.S. I looked at the title and said, oh yeah, I was supposed to get back to the Weidman appeal. I forgot. I got off on a tangent, so I'm just going to make this quick. P.S. Who the fuck didn't know Weidman was going to lose the appeal? I want to find someone, even a hitter, who really thought Gegard was throwing illegal knees? Who really thought that shit was going to get overturned? Who really thought Weidman was going to win that fight? Who really motherfucking thought Gegard, Chris got robbed? Who really thought that Herb Dean should have gave Gegard the L? That's what I want to know. What the fuck you mean? Good shit, New York State Athletic Commissioner. Whoever the fuck didn't overturn that shit, New York. Good shit, man. Because I would have been pissed off if they would have overturned that fucking stuff. What do you mean? Sign Gegard. 3 days left. That's all I'm saying, dude. I'm out.